Hello, my dear folks. Welcome to the show, East to West. From East to West, there's a big range. Within the big range, we pay attention to those core issues that leads us not only today, but to the future. Speaking of the future, though, they are not in our hands. They are in the hands of our kids, all right? And it goes on and on ever since day one, when history started, to the end of, the end of time, whatever this morning I've heard. Well, anyway, this remains the same thing, right? For that, we're talking about everybody. For a parent, if you come into this area, first thing you're starting looking around is not a house. Of course, you look for a house, and the first thing you ask about the house is that, what kind of school district is that, right? Do they have a school district that teachers all have problem with the boys and girls, something like that, for which they pay huge tons of money, or that? Is that all? Oh no, this is the first question. By that, I would like to proudly introduce a backbone friend of mine and an icon of the community, especially when you talk about school district. And this is the one, superintendent of West Covina Unified School District, WCUSD, Mr. Charles Hinman.
Thank you, Jack. Pleasure to be here.
All right, thank you. And I do this way because I do it in a special way to solemnly welcome you to the show.
Outstanding.
And this is important. It's very important.
Thank you.
And of course, I did a lot of homework prior to the show, and well, I have tons of questions to ask.
Sure.
Because not only because of the issue is important, but also the fact that there are lots of districts are in questions.
Yes.
No, those are.
Yeah.
So tell us something about your WCUSD, please.
Well,
Basically, yeah.
You know, I've been very blessed to be hired as a superintendent in the West Covina Unified School District. You know, when I was hired, the school board was very clear.
How long was that ago?
About a year and a half. I've been a year and a half.
All right.
We've been moving very quickly in that year and a half, but we're really moving the district forward. And that was the charge of the school district when they brought me on. They said, we are already a very, very good school district. We want you to take us to the next level. They want to make West Covina Unified School District the greatest school district in the valley. And that's what we're attempting, and the process we're beginning to do.
Yes. And how big is the district?
We're about 10,000 students, and we'd like to grow our school district, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as we go
Yeah, of
along.
course, we'll talk about that. Yeah. And you know, sometimes when you compare school district to school district, though, you're not only talking about area, how big or how small that is.
Right.
You're talking about specific schools.
Correct.
Right? Number of students.
Right.
And the smiles on the parents' face.
Absolutely.
Something like that, right?
Absolutely.
And the kids, of course, themselves, right?
Right.
So
Right.
on the number statistics, it says about 14,000 students, and this school district was established in 1915.
Mm-hmm.
That's 101 years.
Absolutely.
That's a lot. That's
Right.
a lot of years, right? Was that before the establishment of the city of West Covina or after?
Well, you have to cut that segment, Jack, because I don't know. I don't have because I've been here a year and a half, I don't have all of the historical perspective. It's more of kind of where we are today and where we're going to the future.
That's quite understood.
Yeah.
You don't have to cut off because you're not talking about the encyclopedia stuff, right?
Yeah,
Mine.
right.
You're talking about your area.
Correct.
And
correct.
this is exactly the area I focus.
Right.
All right?
Right.
Okay,
Very
forget
good.
that.
Very
Right.
good.
Now, within the district, how many schools do we have?
Well, you had mentioned, I'm going to go back a little bit to one of the things you said, and
Sure.
and this confused me when I first interviewed in the school district, is that, you know, we're listed as 14,000 in some documents, but in 10,000 in other, and the reason for that is we have two charter schools.
I see.
And the charter schools were built under the foundation of our school district. So while they their students have counted in our totals, they really are independent charters.
I
so
see.
it's a little bit differential there. So we have 14 schools plus the two charters, and going back to what you opened with too about the reality of real estate prices. That's the reality.
You are right.
That is the reality of today.
You're 100% right.
It is imperative that we continue to improve our schools and that we do a better job in public relations talking about our schools and the significant impact we're making, because the public needs to know, which again why I thank you for this opportunity to talk about our message.
And I would say that when you were taken for that job, though, and the qualification is one thing,
Right.
and the other most important issue is that your take about education.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Well, speaking of education, there's quite a split ideas about it, right? You're talking about basic from A to Z, or as long as you know that, job is done.
Yes.
And this is one take.
Yes.
And the other take is that what you do is lay down a ground, or like a ground zero, for the kids to start with.
Right.
So, what is yours? And I would like to let my audience share some of your wonderful brand in this whole area, please.
Well, again, I believe that we've become an educational capitalistic system now. So let me expand upon that, but kind of what I mean by capitalism.
I like the term.
Well, it used to be neighborhood children went to neighborhood schools. It just how it was done.
All right.
Then parents started seeing that some schools were doing a little better than other schools, and they wanted to move their children there, but the laws would not allow us to do that. So in comes charter schools. So then the permission was made, you can leave your home school, go to a charter school, but you can't necessarily go to your neighbor's school. Well, those rules are changing. So we are now competing for our own children, let alone children from the outside districts. So again, it's a capitalist educational environment, which, by the way, I strongly agree with. Because if I am a parent and I have a child in school district A, and I know that school district B is doing significantly better based on those test scores, which translates into better real estate score or market, then I'm going to want to take my child and I'm going to want to go to school district B. And here's the reality. With my child goes the money. So now, if I'm school district A, I'm starting to lose my students. When I lose my students, I lose my money. And when I lose my money, I can no longer have the staffing I need and the teachers I need.
Like a cycle, yes.
So what's happening is this competition piece, this capitalism that I call it, is if you're not good, people will leave. So the day of being able to have mediocre schools is gone, and I see that as a positive, and it's making competition amongst the schools. And we're doing, again, at the direction of our school board, we're making huge strides to improve our schools. So not only are we going to be competitive, but we're going to be better. And we're going to keep our kids.
That's a very, very good move, very positive move. I recall when my son was looking around for school, and we live in area A, we heard area B has better schools, and for that I have to borrow an address of a friend of mine
Not
in
supposed to
the
do that,
B. No. Let me finish.
Yeah.
In the B area.
Yeah.
And the friend says, no, you can't do that. I said, okay, and let him have a room in your house. Right. And then I ended up renting a room in his house and actually let my son stay there for the purpose of going into the school.
Right.
And it cost me double.
Yes.
It cost me double.
Yes.
Right? So in your case, the move that you guys made was that you just eliminate the whole thing, right? Just wipe off that kind of line, the line. So to let the school running by itself, let the competition take care of.
That's correct. We have an open enrollment, and right now our board has a philosophy that is, which again, I keep going back to that term, capitalistic education, which
I
is,
do like that.
If you want to come. If you want to go. That, as a parent, they're big on parent rights. So that's a huge challenge for me and our staff, is to develop a system where not only will they want to stay.
And you created a challenge yourself.
Well, I that's how I am.
Good for you, all right?
Yeah.
Good for
I
you.
love a challenge.
Good. I like that. I like that.
But I'm also a strong believer not in top-down leadership, because if you if you force an idea on an organization, they'll revolt. But I'm not necessarily in favor of letting the system maintain itself because it needs a nudge, right? So top down, bottom up, let's meet in the middle. Let's get everybody on board and we move
You're talking
forward.
about obviously combining two efforts from
Yes.
two different directions for the same purpose.
Right.
That is the kid.
That's
the
correct.
quality of our kid.
Very good.
And the other day, exactly at one show, I mentioned to my audience that if you want to do a judgment about a nation's future, you do not check about GDPs or bank reserve, about the gold that are buried underneath a huge building. So before something would happen, you started moving around to A or B or C places.
Right.
No, not that, any of that. You just look into the kids.
That's
What
correct.
kind of kids you have.
That's
right?
correct.
And for the kids to be lookable, lookable, I like that term.
Yeah.
So you have to have a bunch of people like my friend, Mr. Hinman, working on this thing, being a superintendent for WCUSD. I believe his first move, even though 1.5 years only, I will say that is the one that calls for centuries to come. So we wrap up for this segment, and we'll take a very short break because I can't wait for that long. When we come back, we'll get into the school to see the programs, see how difference could be made. All right, stay with us, my dear audience. I promise I will be back. Hello, my dear folks, especially when you happen to be somebody's parent, though, you are especially welcome back to this show. Jack Zhao, with the superintendent of West Covina Unified District, Mr. Charles Hinman, talking about the beautiful district that makes everything go, including your house. The value of your house I'm talking about. So for somebody on that job to make such a big move, you must have to have a huge background, right? When seniority is concerned, when credentials are concerned, everything. You know the business, in other words. You have to know the business. How about something about yourself to start this segment with? And you can tell me anything about yourself, your saving account number, your whatever, and your girlfriend name, something like that.
Well.
I'm kidding. All right. I'm kidding. All right. Okay.
Very good.
Please.
Well, I will go back a little bit. I'm going to take you through my resume. Basically, I want to start by just kind of sharing how I came into California. My father was born and raised in New Mexico.
New Mexico.
In Mexico.
My friend Lou Arredondo, she has a root in New Mexico. And by the way, her grandfather was once the governor of New Mexico.
No kidding.
So you guys belong to the same root.
That's outstanding. I do know her, and she's a wonderful person.
Oh, yeah,
Absolutely.
she is. Absolutely, yes.
He born and raised in a small town of Eunice, New Mexico, and went on to play football at Wichita State in Kansas.
Judging by your height.
Yes, and he was drafted by the Los Angeles Rams. And Los Angeles Rams are now, the Rams are now coming back to Los Angeles. So he played for about 6 months, was cut, picked up the phone, called his girlfriend in Kansas and said, come out to California, we're getting married. And so that's the background of how I came to California.
All right, good.
Been through, went to California public schools all my life. I had a wonderful education. I attended, had a very unique experience as a college student. I attended Montana State University. So for a California kid to be placed in Montana was quite a cultural change.
Yeah.
But I learned a lot about
cultures. Climate change.
Yeah. Okay. I learned a lot about cultures and people,
Yes,
right?
yes,
So
you're
that was a
right.
great experience. Went on to get a master's at Chapman and my doctorate at University of Southern California. Fight on. And then, but professionally, I've had a wonderful career. I started out as a middle school teacher. Then from there, spent some time as a high school teacher. And I did something that is very traditional, but is starting to fade away. which I sat in all the seats. You know, as a traditional administrator, you used to have to do a job of threes, which was you do spend 3 years as an activities director, 3 years as in the discipline office, 3 years in the curriculum office, 3 years in the business office, and then you become a high school principal or a principal, which is what I did.
The prerequisites.
Yes, but in that, my administrative career started in Santa Ana, California, which is about 98% ethnicity at the time, Hispanic. So those were 3 very educational years about culture and about what it takes to affect all children, because they had different backgrounds, different family
you're
issues.
right, especially these days.
Yeah. From there, I went on to administrate principal in Capistrano Unified School District, which is South Orange County. I spent 10 years in the Newport Mesa Unified School District as an assistant superintendent.
I see.
It's a great case study if anyone ever wants to look at that, where you have a cultural divide between Newport Beach and Corona Del Mar on one side of the river and Costa Mesa on the other side of the river. So both cultures. And after 10 years, I was blessed to be appointed superintendent of the West Covina Unified School District.
I see. I call it quite a history.
Thank you. But thank you for the background.
And very solid, step by step. And sometimes we're talking about, there are 2 terms. We're talking about somebody landing a job like a helicopter. This is one way, and somebody grows from the grassroots into the job. That's way 2. So, and obviously you belong to way 2, not way 1. I'm not saying that I object to way 1. I'm saying that I like this way 2 better.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
For that way 2 to handle that many students, be it 10,000, be it 14,000, depending on the counting of charter schools whatsoever, and among all the schools, what is the only thing, what is the most thing that make you so proud about your district?
Well, I think
the core thing, yeah.
The core is their willingness, the school board's willingness to ensure that every student meets with success. That is the core, and we can talk about the processes that we're going through to make that happen. Sure.
And when I was doing homework, I went through about several programs, and on the outline, it says that the school has many programs, and ranging from kinder 1, 5, or whatever, all the way to 12.
Absolutely.
And above that, you still stay. Well, you know, the thing still goes on, and you have even the international programs. How about you started from the international program going down all the kinder, please?
Okay.
Let's start with that.
So start at the top and work down.
Well, or you prefer from the bottom?
Let's start at the bottom because
sure.
that's
where
good. It's where the answer lies.
Okay, very good.
The answer lies in the bottom. So here is I'm gonna tell you something that's gonna shock you. Okay, you're gonna be just blown away about what I'm going to tell you.
I'm stunned enough.
You ready? Students who read at grade level by 4th grade will be successful in life. Shocker, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But unfortunately, our educational system has become so bogged down with so many different curriculum pathways, curriculum areas, that we lose track of that most important piece, is that students have to be able to read. So starting next year, the board has agreed to a kindergarten through 3rd grade continuum of a guaranteed viable curriculum that all students will read at grade level. Now, how are we going to do that? I have a moment to talk about that.
Yeah, exactly.
So the board has agreed to put the resources in necessary to make that happen. So every student, kindergarten through 3rd grade, will be issued a laptop. So we're stepping into the 21st century. Every student's going to get a laptop. But it's not just to play with and type. It will come with software. And the software that they will be used on a daily basis will do a diagnostic on a daily basis and show the reading level the student's currently at. And it will show the areas of weakness within the diagnostics of what the teachers need to read. Now, the next piece is you have a teacher who's already required to teach all of these subject areas: math, science, social science, reading, art, PE. What about the reading? So we're going to bring in specialists into all of our classrooms in addition to the classroom teacher to make sure that differentiated instruction takes place. And
That's
these
an
kids-
add-up.
Yeah, as
That's
an
an
add-up.
add-up.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not cheap, but it's the commitment that our board has made
right,
to
you're
ensure
right.
that they can read. I went to a high school the other day, and I said, what would happen in your 9th grade biology class if we brought you students who could all read at grade level? And the teachers, oh my gosh, you know, the thought that they would have a classroom of students reading at grade level, not at some at 6th grade, some at 4th grade, some at 11th grade, but all across the continuum, it makes it very difficult. But if we can provide a classroom of students who all read at grade level, we'll continue to do amazing things.
I do agree to you, sir. I have to assure you because I like what you say. I like this statement because I myself is a good example, which you later, when you do a speech, whatever, can quote as example. I started reading at the age of 3.5. You know what I read? Right. When I was forced to read,
Yes.
right? Anyway,
Yes.
the Tang Dynasty poems.
Oh my goodness.
Right. And it's impossible for a 3-year-old, 4-year-old to do that because it's kind of like the language is so obscure, stuff like that, right? And something not even chewable. Yet we did. My father forced me, and with a teacher with a kind of like, which is not allowed here, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That is correct.
Yes. Who spanked me all the time, for any mistake.
Right.
And to let you know the wonder if that works. Till these days, those pieces that I learned, I can still recite any moment you point out. Now, even now. So that's how it exactly works. At your speech, you can say, a show host, Jack Zhao says exactly, he is a proven true
And I believe
example of it.
And I believe
I
it.
like that, sir.
I believe it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, so let me take you to the next phase of kindergarten moving forward. So you talked about when you read at 3.5 and how you can still recite the literature that you read.
I still can.
Okay. Well,
word to word.
Here's another problem that we have in education today. And I could line up all of my friends here today who took foreign language, 4 years of foreign language in high school. Unless they went on to take it in college, not one of them can communicate in that language, regardless of what it was.
Good.
So, again, I'm going to shock you here.
Yes.
Dual language, starting at the kindergarten level, is the answer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'll give you another example. My Russian. I was taught Russian when I was in high school. I was very fluent in Russian, still по-русски that time, very much. Большое success or something like that.
Yes.
Right? And I forgot the whole thing now.
Right.
I forgot the whole thing now. So, my dear audience, today we're touching the issue that I like very much. I believe you as a parent, if you happen to be one, you would like this conversation. It is a very worthy discussion to the profoundness of it. You will find why your kid gets A, others get B or C. Why? Because it's a start. We're talking about a start. Of course, there is never too late to reshape. We're talking about if you had a chance to start from point 1, though, better start this way. With me today is the superintendent of West Covina Unified School District, Mr. Charles Hinman, and he is sharing his ideology in the whole concept of education that I feel myself getting into it very much. All right, so stay with us. We'll be right back. Hello, my dear audience, lovely friends, ladies and gentlemen. If you happen to be somebody's parents, though, please keep your eyes open and ears popped up for this conversation. It's a discussion. As a matter of fact, to me, it sounds like going back to classroom, sitting there, listening to my teachers or something like that, or discuss about as kids. Anyway, with me today is my good friend, the backbone of the community, and the backbone, I would say, to our future, the superintendent of West Covina Unified School District, WCUSD, Sir, or whoever, the Honorable Mr. Charles Hinman. Well, talking about his job, it sounds to me like that he is talking about his own backyard or counting his collections or jewelry collections or whatever. So, and I really like it. I like the content of it. With the school district, with a foundation which is built on the concept that it is a capitalized business. It is no longer only a word, education, right? It is a capitalized whole arena, right? So, and there goes lots of details. We're touching the details one by one. We started from kinder, and then I would like still hear you going on from that up. Please.
Thank you. Well, we were touching a little bit on dual immersion and the fact that why it took us this long to realize that 4 years of high school language does not carry on to adulthood. But what we've started in the West Unified Youth School District is a dual language program. So starting last year, we ran 2 schools, ran Spanish, English dual, which was a 90-10 model. So 90% in the foreign language, which was Spanish, 10% in the English. As they move on to first grade, it becomes 80-20, 70-30, so on and so forth. But here's the key. At the end of the 6th grade level, every one of those students will be both biliterate and bilingual in a foreign language, which will stay with them for life because they learned it at the
Bilateral, bilingual,
yes,
and then they will think,
yes,
by conceptual, by whatever, right?
Yes.
And that is exactly true. I have a friend of mine that who travels with his father, a diplomat, from country to country. At the age of 8, he can speak like 5 languages or something. So you never know, there is a limit or whatever. How far is the limit for kids' ability to learn language? And your dual immersion program, that makes a lot of sense, right? For kids to get into that program, what do they do? Or does it automatically start, or they have to apply to get into certain classes?
They have to apply, but it's not that they won't get in. So anything new. It takes risk takers to go into a program like that to convince parents who are English only parents that we're going to teach your child in 90% of a foreign language that they have no concept of is pretty scary. So success breeds success. And we were so successful in our first year run. Our enrollment is doubling in the second year, and so on and so forth. But you were talking about your friend that spoke the 5 languages.
5 languages.
So think about this. We have students will be coming in the West Unified School District who at 6th grade will be biliterate and bilingual. Well, now in 7th grade we offer Mandarin. So they move from the Spanish into the Mandarin. They become trilingual, triliterate when they graduate from college. Huge openings to move right into the career, into the job force, or go on into college, and when they graduate from college, have that on their resume.
I see. So in addition, by the 6th year, they will start the Mandarin learning.
Correct.
Right.
Because they'll be able, when they get to high school, they'll be able to ace the advanced placement Spanish tests. They'll get a 4 or 5 of it. That's college credit without ever taking a Spanish course.
I myself like that, the program, the whole thing. I especially like the fact that you added up with the Mandarin learning, Chinese language learning. And I can prove myself, being with a background of Chinese American, I can testify the language of Chinese, the Mandarin language, is different from any other language because it's not only a language. It's not only a culture, it's not only history, whatever. It has philosophy in the language itself.
Right.
For example, if you do BAD, that's bad. And that's bad. You're told by the teacher that's bad, right? And then the B, what the B stands for, what the A stands for, what the D stands for, regardless. It doesn't have any root. In the Chinese way of putting words together, each has explanation. Why? Why? So if I believe if our kids learn about that, they are not only learning the language, they're learning philosophies.
Right.
They're learning logics, right?
Right.
That's a good start. My dear audience, today with my good friend, the superintendent of West Covina Unified District, Mr. Hinman, I feel like somebody opened a window in front of my eye. I see brighter sunlight. Okay, go on, please.
Well, I want to expand upon what you said.
Yeah, please.
Obviously, Mandarin is a significantly different language than most of the world languages, but it was Friedman who wrote, "The world is flat." And through technology and travel and video conferencing, China obviously is becoming an important part of our economy. As it grows, those relationships will continue. Imagine, again, the job opportunities for an American student who can speak Mandarin in the job, in the careers, right? So there's rhyme and reason behind everything we do. So we could pick German, we could pick French, and not that there's anything wrong with those languages, but we always have to think college and career. And Mandarin, I think, we believe will open up many doors for students in the college and career.
Exactly. And exactly the same thing that I share with you. I keep saying to my son, please do not forget your Mandarin and keep on practicing Mandarin. Someday you will realize, well, you have double chances.
Yes. Yes.
You have double opportunities.
Yes, you will.
And while they are when compared to your competitors, right? Okay, very good.
Right.
Okay, with that, with a 6 year up, what do you do?
Okay, so we're moving into. I'm going to go. So we're going to have our readers. They're all going to be able to read at grade level. Now, one of the California state curriculum is Common Core. And the best way I can describe Common Core, regardless of what the federal government does, I believe the state of California will stay with the idea of Common Core. The misnomer about Common Core is that it's a federally run program. It's nothing more than a framework. So we receive the Common Core framework. We're allowed to put the leaves on the tree, so to speak. Now, I'm not advocating for or against. I'm just saying that's the model. But the reason I bring that up is because the foundational thought process of Common Core is critical thinking. Now, when you and I went to school, it was about memorization, okay, and not critical thinking.
Yeah, you're right.
You had to know the formula to do the problem.
Yeah.
The critical thinking Common Core is why does the problem exist and how do we solve it without necessarily doing just fundamental.
Problem resolving.
So, which brings me to our International Baccalaureate program. The International Baccalaureate program is in fact a world curriculum. A student that starts and finishes in the IB program will be able to function in a world curriculum, a world economy, and they'll be critical thinkers. So we've started 3 programs in our district. One is the IB Diploma program, which is at Edgewood High School. Students who graduate with an IB Diploma, doors open internationally. They can attend international schools. And
it's internationally recognized.
Yes, yes, very much so. And they, of course, can and do attend our state schools, UC schools, private schools. We have a couple students we've had go to UCLA, Stanford, USC, Cambridge. It opens doors, but it's critical thinking. So to do that now, there are 3 steps of International Baccalaureate. First is the primary years program. That is K through 5. And we've started 2 primary years programs. We're candidate schools right now.
You're starting that from even K level?
Yes. It's called primary years program K through 5.
You mean the baccalaureate?
Yes.
System?
Yes.
Starting even the K5?
That's correct.
All right.
That's correct.
Go ahead. It's getting even more amazing.
So it's PYP, primary years program K through 5, where they start learning about these critical thinking facets of the world rather than just the standard curriculum. Now, they'll still be tested on standard curriculum California state standards, but it'll be a different perspective. Once they get done with the PYP, they'll move into what's called MYP, which is middle years program. Now, this is 6 through 10. So a traditional United States middle school would be 6 through 8, 7 through 9, but the MYP is a 6 through 10. Again, it goes more into depth of the critical thinking in all of the core areas. Then they'll move into the DP program, which is the diploma program, which is grades 11 and 12. And here's another good tip too. When students finish the DP program, they'll generally go in as a sophomore or even a first-term junior into college. So parents will have saved tens of thousands of dollars by going through that program.
Well, I would say that my audiences, they especially if they happen to be just arriving or just have arrived shortly from other countries, especially China, you might take a look into the program that works a lots more. That makes lots more sense.
Absolutely.
Right? And not only is it bilingual, but it's started with the critical thinking. And then it has the international programs, right?
Yep.
So the Baccalaureate International IP program, that's really something that caught my eye.
It is, and I will tell you, we will probably be the only K-12 IB continuum connected in the state of California. Some districts will have a PYP program here, and then 5 miles away they might have an MYP, and then maybe the high school runs the IB and AP combo. We'll talk about that if we have time. But they're not a true K-12 continuum. West Covina, I think, will be one of the first in the entire state to have, from the time you enter school in kindergarten to the time you graduate, you will be in an IB environment.
All right, good. It sounds like a package to me. You're starting day one, put your kids in school, and then, well, day two, they graduate. They are ready to go, all right? Okay, my dear audience, with me is my good friend, the backbone of the community, Superintendent of West Covina Unified School District, Mr. Charles Hinman. He's sharing his thoughts, not only with the system, but his concept, and of course, added with all kind of details and the programs to let people know, let my audience know, it is a good district, it is a district that's worth trying, okay? Let's take a very short moment now, and we have only one segment left. When we come back, we'll put together some efforts to find out how other things are going, such as budget, if I may.
Sure.
Right? And I really hate to mention that, but it is a hardcore issue. So stay with us, we'll be right back. Hello, my dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, my wonderful audiences. I love you so much. That's why me and my team are trying every bit we can to collect information, to put it here, to imbue our lives, see if we can better ourselves, right? So I have no complaint, yet there's still a chance to do better. Don't you laugh at me? So I'm optimistic.
Always do better.
Okay,
Always
very
do
good.
better.
So with me, laughing at me, is my good friend, the superintendent of the WCUSD, West Covina Unified School District, a big leader. I call him this time now. I can move down to address him as the leader.
Yes, thank you. Yes.
Leader means lead. Leader means to lead, right? That's simple, basic philosophy. And with the leading of Mr. Hinman, superintendent of the school district, Unified School District, we do see sunlight. We see more sunlight. Like I said, the last segment, I said it sounds like, it looks like somebody opens a window in front of my eye. I started to see things clear. Like exactly last year when I had the laser on myself, I said, oh my God, is this a beautiful world? Like that case. So welcome back to the show, right? And matter of fact, we were prepared to go into the budget part, but I have one thing left. I need to check about your AP program.
Thank you.
Please.
Yeah, thank you for asking.
Yeah,
I
please.
don't want to leave that out. The West Covina Unified School District Board of Education is all about choices. We talked about enrollment, and we're talking about these programs that parents can opt into. Well, you have two choices at the higher level of academics in the West Covina Unified School District. You have the IB program, which I've gone on extensively about, but we also have the Advanced Placement program. The advanced placement program is at West Covina High School. Now, not only do we have the AP program, but we're the first school in the San Gabriel Valley to have the AP capstone program.
AP capstone
program, yes, which is very similar to the IB diploma program. There are requirements above and beyond just taking the IB courses, just as AP capstone program now has additional requirement as well. For example, community service. There are other pieces. So when you graduate from West Covina High School, you can get an AP capstone diploma. At Edgewood High School, you can get an IB diploma. Both are very impressive. And both means that students were very dedicated and did a lot of work. But what we didn't want to do, Jack, is we didn't want to offer both. Because when you offer both at the same school, you dilute. So parents need to do their research and investigation and find what's best for their child. Is it the AP program or is it the IB program? And then, of course, at the end of the day, I'll just throw this in. At the end of the day, the gatekeeper of college is the SAT or the ACT. We're very cognizant of that, and we're striving to ensure that we infuse the curriculum of those two exams into our fundamental courses.
In other words, you're offering them two kind of choices. They're optional,
yes.
And yet you're not diluting your efforts by putting them together all mixed up. In which case they do not know where to go.
Right.
You want to go east here, west here, and then left or right or whatever you want to go. You decide.
Well,
like that kind, right?
What you'll find is a lot of, there's only so many pebbles in the well, if you will. So if I have an advanced teacher, a teacher that teaches a college level course, I can ask them to teach AP chemistry, or I can ask them to teach IB chemistry. But what a lot of schools do, because of the talent level is so minute, they'll say, Jack, I want you to teach an IB AP combo class.
Yeah.
And I want you to do all and what happens is you dilute the class and everybody gets frustrated. Teacher burns out. So options. That's
which means that whatever the teacher says is right within range.
That's correct. That is correct.
There is almost no standard about it.
That is correct.
Anyway, and now down to the final issue, which is the issue that I really hate to mention, but it's a core issue, the budget.
Yes.
What kind of budget you're handling in your hands, please?
Well, I will tell you, without making a political statement, because there are powerful...
You don't have to.
Thank you.
It is. It is, because right? It is anyway.
There are strong opinions on taxes, but because of the local control funding formula that Governor Brown put in, Prop 30, the state has done a very good job of closing the funding gap of education. We're about 90% there. So to be honest, over the last 3-4 years,
there's no longer cut.
No.
The
funding has, but Jack, funding in education is cyclical. So like the economy of the nation, you will always have your good years, and then you'll turn, and then we go through the cuts and so on and so forth. But right now, the funding gap has actually closed to a point where we're almost where we need to be. That being said, and I don't want to get too in depth with your listeners, but because of Prop 30, which was a sales tax, expired this year. Expires on January 1. There is a measure on the ballot to extend Prop 30. So a lot of our fiscal livelihood will depend upon that particular ballot. Again, I don't want to make a political position, except it's always ebbs and flows. But if you're asking me today, how is our funding? We're in good shape.
But to keep on being in good shape, though, we need some money coming.
Here's how I describe it, okay? The state of California will buy you a Volkswagen, right? So I can get to and from work in a Volkswagen. It's not very roomy. I'm a little bit cramped in there, but I can fill my tank up with gas and I can get to work. But if I want something better than a Volkswagen, I have to go out to my community. I need my community to say, we don't want our students driving in a Volkswagen, nice car, but we'd like them in a Ford. Or in some cases, we want them, in a Mercedes.
A Ferrari?
Ferrari's tough to get to, but hey, dream big, right? So I never blame, the state's going to provide what it can provide for our school district. But if we want to go to the next level, if you want to start a robotics program.
You're
You need community input. If you want to start a computer science program with more than just the basics, we need community partners, and that's where the community can come in.
And that's exactly.
Yeah.
And of course, I'm not making any promotion for this political issue either. One thing for sure that we do know that people these days tend to be short-sighted. They talk about the memories. The goldfish has 3 seconds of memories, whatever. So we have to think longer than 3 minutes, 3 seconds, or something like that. When you talk about education, you're not talking about you put money in there and next day you open it and you see something grow, right? And you're talking about 20 years of investment, of nothing come, of no result, and yet when a result does come, and there's a result, like that. Okay, now. And we have a little time left. I would really have to make good use of the very few minutes left. What's your call to the community? Please, make your call.
My call to the community is if you appreciate what the school board and the direction of the school district is doing, you need to help us celebrate that. Because so much is driven by the water cooler. You know, the conversations at the water cooler, the conversations at the Saturday picnic, when you're sitting down with your community members and things are going good with your child and your school, we need to celebrate that. I want to go back to what I started with, educational capitalism. We're now competing and we want to be the best. We are the best. I have to get that message out. The second is, if you can support our schools through manpower, it don't have to be money. You don't have to give money, but you know what is more valuable than money when it comes to kids? Time. If you can give us time where we can plug you in and help support our kids, support our program before school, after school, in school, we'll do it. And then of course, funding. If we want more than the Volkswagen, if you work for a company, you can do matching funds, or just support us, even if it's just joining the PTA. We need you to do that because you hit it right on the nail head. We are your community.
Yes,
we are your future.
We're talking about ourselves.
These are our children who will become our citizens in the future, very near future, by the way. Time flies. So don't we want them the most prepared possible?
20 years is nothing.
No, it's not.
20 years is nothing.
And then someone else will be sitting here.
And very well stated, very well stated. Obviously, we're not talking about something in New York.
No.
Or Flushing, New York. Right? So we're talking about our own backyard.
Yes.
Be it good or not good, be it whatever, and it's in our hands. So we want you to join us in the team, helping us by helping you to improve the community.
Yes.
And for that, we're talking about our kids hold the future, right? So, and I have still a few seconds left. May I ask you something away from everything we're talking about?
Certainly.
How do you arrange your bathrooms?
Well, that's a good question, and I'm going to give you the politically correct answer. We follow the law.
You follow the law.
We follow the law. So, you know, we have a gender neutral restaurant.
Sorry for that.
Oh no, it's fair. Gender neutral, which means man, woman, transgender can use that bathroom. We still have the traditional boys. We still have the traditional girls. At the end of the day, if a transgender student doesn't feel comfortable using the neutral bathroom, they can use the bathroom that they feel.
And how about
is appropriate
janitors?
for them. Janitors?
For janitors to go into the neutral.
You always announce if you're not in the said category, if it's neutral, you always announce, you know, man on the floor. You know, you give notice, man on the floor, and if someone says, "Oh, excuse me,"
man on the floor,
okay, woman on the floor. If it's a woman,
all right. So. I'm very sorry like that, but I'm happy that you gave me an answer that I feel so that I can. You can. Well, I can just take a rest a little bit.
No, I'll probably get myself in trouble, Jack, because I'm one very opinionated person.
Very good. You are politically right.
Yeah.
All right. Very good.
Thank
so,
you.
my dear audience, today we're over time, but still, I thought that we would like to do it anyway. And this is, by the way, not the only first time. We still want to do more if you would share some time.
Would love to
so
come back.
with me today, Superintendent of West Covina Unified School District, Superintendent Charles Heyman. Well, a name you can find on the website, and by visiting WCUSD, you'll find all the info. And I really hope that by making difference in the community, you are making differences towards the future.
Absolutely.
So, my dear audience, especially you, when you happen to be somebody's parents, thank you for watching. And to Superintendent, sir, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Jack. Appreciate it.